Do you think Jed from 1984 Red Dawn would be like, okay, let's go get your girlfriend?
No, he'd be like, fine, you want to go get your girlfriend? Go get your girlfriend. I'm going to stay here. Alive.
Yeah, he'd be like, shut up, Charlie Sheen. We're not going to get your high school.
And then Matt Eckert loses his ever-loving mind.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are you telling me nobody heard that?
Yeah. They weren't that far away. But I love her, Jen. That's what I...
Still kind of want to marry him.
Ooh, Jeffrey Dean Morgan?
Yes, and Kenneth Troy. Both of them.
The Wolverines
maybe at the same time. Sorry.
It's a different podcast. But let's be honest, they weren't best friends. I'd rat them out too if I got caught. You wouldn't even have to torture me.
I would not rat them out.
Warning. The following is an honest movie review. And the producers of the I Remember Liking That Movie podcast are not responsible for destroying any fond memories that you might have had of the following film.
Lights, camera, and action. Welcome to the I Remember Liking That Movie podcast. Remember those childhood movies you loved? We're going to watch them again and find out if they're still as amazing as you remember. Let's get ready to join Anna and Jimmy as they go back and watch those movies you remember being oh so awesomely good. Horror movies that scared. Comedy movies that dared. Damn! And action movies so preposterously ludicrous that they defied the laws of common sense. Now, here's your hosts, Anna Santos and Jimmy Coates.
And with that being said, we move to 2012, November the 21st. And nothing says Christmas is coming than a remake of Red Dawn.
Correct.
How many theaters? 2,679. Looking good. Budget, pretty hefty compared. It's $65 million. What place did it open in? 5th. By the end of the Thanksgiving long weekend, it was 7th. So Friday, the first day it opened in 5th. By the end of the weekend, it finished in 7th place. It brought in $20 million. Not horrible. But it was front loaded and then its box office with 44.8 million domestic and only 6 million internationally. I don't think it played well in Asia.
I don't think a lot of
actually looks like it did
non-Americans
anywhere but America.
Enjoy the America is the only hero possible scenario that they tend to have in their movies.
It premiered with 2 other brand new movies, Rise of the Guardians, which did all right, 300 million worldwide, Life of Pi, which debuted at number 7, but unlike Red Dawn, it kept going up the rankings and made 600 million worldwide. Also, it was up against Skyfall, one of the best James movies, Twilight, Breaking Dawn Part 2, which was huge, Linking, Wreck-It Ralph, Silver Linings Playbook, Argo, Pitch Perfect, Taken 2, some heavy hitters for the long weekend. And then by the time The Hobbit, An Unexpected Journey came out a few weeks later, Red Dawn was just puttering
Red Dawn didn't have a chance.
No. I remember first hearing about this movie and being excited, actually. It was a remake, but this time it was China. Then China got mad, so Hollywood changed it to North Korea because no one cares what fucking North Korea thinks.
Well, also North Korea doesn't really know what's happening until someone shows them. So they were just like, oh, we managed to invade. And I think that's as far as they got.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, we invade America. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, they probably cut that and put it in their propaganda videos.
Yeah.
But then even in 2012, I was still wondering, like, how the fuck is North Korea going to fade? But I remember the movie opens with a voiceover that does explain how it all came to be. FYI, in case we didn't talk about this earlier in our pre-show, China still didn't let the movie play.
No.
So them changing it did nothing.
No.
But yeah, I was gung-ho for a Red Dawn reboot. The cast looked good. The action I remember looked good. I don't remember loving this movie, and I've only seen it once. So I am excited to see it again.
I have seen it a couple times.
Okay.
I was also surprised by the production of it. I was like, what? They're remaking Red Dawn? I was like, I wonder how they're going to do that. And then eventually I started hearing about it.
Yeah.
I didn't see it in the theaters because I was like, I'm not paying that kind of money for a Red Dawn. But I did watch it once it came on demand, if I'm not mistaken. And I was like, okay, cool. Like, let's watch it. And I remember liking it.
Yeah. Not loving it.
It was a good time movie. And I think it was the casting that kind of threw me off, because some of the cast was great and it made a lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Hemsworth.
Yeah. And then some of it, I was like, I feel like you're jumping the shark a little bit, but that's okay. But I mean, overall, I remember liking it.
Yeah.
It was not one of those like, let's run out and get the DVD.
No, I didn't hate it or anything. I did remember liking it, but I haven't seen it. I've only saw it the one time.
Now I've seen it a few.
I remember the opening being phenomenal. That I do remember. I remember the action being decent. I do remember rolling my eyes the odd time, kind of like what you said. Like,
I remember thinking some of it felt very overacted.
Maybe.
Where I was like, guys, it's very, like, this is already a very out there story. You don't need to bring the extra drama. Where I was just like, it felt almost like they were trying to convince you this was a dramatic movie. You know, and you're just like, you can reel it back in a little bit. I have a feeling the director was just like, bigger.
Yeah, more explosions.
Yeah. But I mean, overall, I remember liking
I'm going to
it.
Michael Bay the shit out of this movie.
Accurate.
All right. The tale of the tape for Red Dawn 2012. The fight begins at dawn. Yeah, the poster's cool.
Poster's very cool. I'm now realizing this is the first time I'm seeing the poster.
Well,
like
you're probably
ever.
more familiar with the second poster with Hemsworth there. And
okay. I think that might have actually been the cover of the DVD too.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. That I remember seeing.
Yeah. I actually like the movie poster better. I don't know why they didn't keep going with that. But Chris Hemsworth, front and center, I guess.
I mean, anytime you can look at Chris Hemsworth, it's a good day. It's a very good day.
The taglines. The one on the movie poster is "The fighting begins at dawn."
Mm-hmm.
Then there's "This Thanksgiving, the fight begins at dawn." "Welcome to the home of the brave." And they copied the 84 by saying, "In America, heroes aren't raised, they're orphaned. And then when Marines die, we go to hell and regroup." Yeah, I guess the fight begins at dawn. They should just stick with that. The synopsis. When North Korea troops invade U.S. soil and take over the city of Spokane, Washington, a recently returned Iraq war veteran, Chris Hemsworth, and a group of teens, Josh Peck, Josh Hutcherson, flee to the woods and form a band of freedom fighters, dubbing themselves the Wolverines. The youth launch guerrilla attacks against the invaders, but how long they can sustain the fight in the face of the enemy's superior numbers and firepower remains in question. Yeah, that's fine too.
Yeah.
Now, that's where I get worried. Rotten Tomatoes has 145 critics giving it a score of 14%. And, and with an audience score from over 50,000 of 51%. IMDb has this with 78,000 user ratings, giving it 5.3 out of 10. I won't lie, the 14% has me a bit worried. Encino Man, which we watched not long ago, got 15%, 1% better. Critics thought Encino Man was better than Red Dawn 2012. Not a great sign.
Here's the thing. Having a communist power invade another country is one thing. But in 2012, it's not as scary or as hyped up as it would be in 1984.
No.
And there's no credible, well, there's a threat from North Korea, but we're not actually afraid of North Korea.
No. They should have stuck with China.
Right? We can be afraid of China. There are billions of them.
Yeah.
Billions of Chinese people. Their army is extensive, and communism. Like all of this, like human rights violations, this can be scary.
Yeah.
North Korea is not that scary. Most of the people are starving.
And when
they
China...
don't have clothing or shoes. And all the Kim Jong guys.
Kim
Jong-un and Kim Jong... Oh, God, what was the one before? His father.
Oh, the best one. From,
God, I can't remember his name. I am the worst.
Team America.
Fuck yeah.
Hello. Oh, fuck.
So offensive, that movie.
Yeah.
For some reason, I love it.
They didn't even try to hide any of it.
I loved it when I watched it. I kind of want to watch it again to see if I still love it.
Yeah, actually, that'd be a great one in this new era we live in. Yeah.
Because now that we know better, are we still... I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm still going to find Matt Damon hilarious. But anyways, that's not the point. The point is North Korea is not a credible threat to us. Whereas in 1984, Russia was a credible threat.
Yes. Yeah.
So I think it seems overly dramatic and over the top, maybe. Like, that's what I remember. I remember thinking, oh, this is a decent, like, action movie. It has its moments.
Yes. Yeah. It kind of fell into the generic, not bad time waster type movie. Yeah. Where the other one was, you were invested a little more because everyone they didn't like the Russians. They didn't like communism. It was actually a threat, or at least it was
a concern.
Saw as a threat. Yeah.
And everybody talked about it. I think that was the big thing in the 80s, like communism and communist countries. We were terrified.
Yeah.
But this was also before the U.S. had the biggest and most well-funded military in the world.
Yeah, and because like Russia was seen as the second largest and most dangerous military in the world before Ukraine, even more so than China. And they don't look... And there are experts saying that if Russia actually had to take on NATO and America and the NATO allies, they said it would be like 1,000 to 1, the deaths.
Yeah.
It would just be an onslaught. But they have nukes. So, North Korea, he's crazy and everything, and he's a wacky rascal, but...
Yeah, he's crazy, and he's a danger to his own people.
Yeah. But we're not afraid of North Korea coming over.
But the rest of the world is not over, like South Korea. Like Korea might be a little more afraid.
Yeah.
Because crazy's right upstairs. But the rest of the world is kind of like, what damage can he really do? Do his nukes even work anymore? Like this is where we're at as the world. So in 2012, when Red Dawn
in 2012,
out,
I don't think he had nothing.
We didn't hear from North Korea. It was a great mystery. We knew there was a dictator. We knew that there were crap tons of human rights violations happening from the few people who could escape. But there were no big stories. There was no great information. Like, it wasn't prevalent in society.
Right. Nope.
So we were not afraid.
Well, the critic consensus was the rebooted Red Dawn lacks the original topicality, but at least pays tribute to delivering the same short shrift of character development and general logic. And these are some of the... I'm trying to pick the best of like positive reviews. The whole point of Red Dawn is to blow up a lot of buildings, shoot off a lot of bullets, and prove once and for all that jocks, sluts, nerds, and every other high school social caste can come together as one to battle a highly trained invading army. Making my movie sound stupid.
Well, you kind of have to have a moment and suspend your disbelief. Like, you can't go into this being like, this is super realistic.
A blend of popcorn entertainment, resonating characters, and balls-to-the-wall basic action with bullets, car chases, and blowing things up. It's the dawn of a new era for Red Dawn. Lock, load, and howl, go Wolverines. Now, both of these two reviews were rewatches, meaning going back and watching them again, and in 2019 and 2020, those two that I just said. So these are people that, this isn't from 2012, they have gone back and given another go. Mm-hmm. And they seem to think it's all right.
Yeah.
So give me 1 second here, and I will bring up the trailer.
You're in the Air Force, right?
Marines, actually.
How long are you here for?
A few weeks.
30 seconds left. Just get us in field goal range. 22!
The blackout may run along the entire northwest corridor.
What's going on?
Take care of your brother, you hear me?
Go now. Go.
If you're seeing this broadcast, you are in a part of the country no longer controlled by the government of the United States.
Boys, I love you both, but I want you to do what I would do. Kill this piece of...
They messed with the wrong family.
How did this happen?
There's a new class of weapon. Everything went offline and never came back. They wipe us out, including U.S. Central Command.
What am I supposed to do?
I'm gonna fight. Anybody who wants to join is welcome to it. We'll hit them on our terms. We're the Wolverines. We create chaos. We need to steal that weapon. It'd be the foothold we need and take our homes back.
I can't.
Yes, you can. Relax. And squeeze. We inherited our freedom. Now it's up to all of us to fight for it. For them, this is just some place. For us, this is our home.
So what do we think?
I think... I'm trying to find a nice way to say this. I think I'm going to be kind of bored by it.
Well, you'd be happy to. I don't know if I said this at the Red Dawn 2012. It's also rated PG-13. This version comes in fighting at a much lighter 1 hour and 33 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
So it's a lot shorter than the 84 version. So if it is bad, you don't have to watch as much of it.
Thank God for that.
But I think that might be what we're alluding to, where it being more generic action, because it was a little shorter.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be that. Like, I think it'll be mildly entertaining, and I think I'll like it, but I don't think I'm going to love it. But I remember loving it.
The opening looked a lot bigger in scale than the 84, and I get the 84 version. You do what you got, and it was a small town. That was very smart. The high school and all that. Where this one is like the entire suburb is, and the planes overhead.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be. I don't know.
Also, I think this is the first time I saw Josh Peck skinny.
Now, what do you think? 84 or 2012? Which one do you think you're going to enjoy more?
I think we're going to like 84 more.
Yeah, the fact that I've seen 84 Red Dawn at least 30 times. Like when I was a kid alone, like me and my friends watched this a lot, and I caught it on TV more than a few times. Never from start to finish, but enough at different times. That if you add it all together, it was at least a full movie's worth. And of course, I don't have it with me. Somewhere down here, I have the Red Dawn DVD.
Oh, nice.
I have the special edition. It's DVD, so I probably won't watch it. I'll probably buy it digitally just for a better version. And if I can't find it and don't want to root for it, I'll forget it down here in the studio.
Yeah.
And I'll be sitting on the couch and I'll be like, I could just push this button and rent it for $4.
Mm.
Or I could go all the way downstairs, look for it, watch it in crappy DVD.
I'm pretty sure I have the 2012 on DVD.
It's on a couple streaming services.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, this ought to be fun. But yeah, I have a feeling I'm going to like the 84 better.
Yeah, it's going to be like watching an old friend.
I think partially that, but also because in 84, I feel like they wrote and filmed it as if there was a credible threat, as opposed to the 2012 where it was more fantasy because North Korea was not a credible threat. We'll see how it ends up. I mean, I could be wrong and I could like the 2012 a lot more. You know, maybe
I'm excited to see the 2012 one because I haven't seen it since 2012 or 2013. Like I watched it when it was not, I didn't watch it when it was in theaters. All right. Well, we will go and watch.
You heard them. Movie time. Let's all go to the lobby and get ourselves a treat, and then watch a classic kick-ass movie from whenever the one we're about to watch was made.
And now, on with the show.
Which brings us to Red Dawn 2012. Initial thoughts. 2012 version.
It was all right. I remember liking it more. Then I think I built it up in my head a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I was like, Chris Hemsworth. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
But then it didn't. This is going to sound terrible because I watched the two Red Dawns back to back. So it really was very much a comparison for me.
Yeah.
And I was like, why are you dilly-dallying? Like, you're not involving me. I don't care about your shitty little brother or your shitty big brother or the dad who just can't handle it. I'm like, I don't care about any of these people. So I think that's what it kind of started off on a bad foot. But it was okay.
As a generic action movie from 2012, again, like you, I was like, it was okay. But then I'm like, it's not a generic action movie. It's a reboot of a beloved kick-ass 80s action movie. Mm-hmm. Which kind of made it worse than meh. It wasn't all bad. It had some high points. It wasn't really good either.
I didn't want to turn it off.
No.
But I also had to force myself to pay attention.
A couple times, yeah.
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 Like there were times where I was like, shit, right. I need to watch this. Like, what just happened? Let me rewind a little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Put down my phone.
Yeah. Honestly, the number of times I picked up my phone and I was like, nope, put it down. But I didn't pick up my phone once during Red Dawn 84.
No. Okay, so let's get into this one. An introductory montage shows the fallout of an economic crisis in the European Union and a weakened NATO alliance. Amid collaborative dealings between a progressively militant North Korea, now led by the young Kim Jong-un, and ultra-nationalized dominated Russia, the increased deployment of U.S. troops abroad leave the mainland vulnerable. The American infrastructure is increasingly vulnerable to the threat of a cyber attack. I did like this opening.
I loved this opening. Loved it.
But I think it was hard to bind North Korea as the main enemy back in 2012, let alone now. But I did like what they had to change.
Yeah.
And they did allude to Russia being the main reason that North Korea was able to move so many troops. And they supplied the bulk of the vehicles while North Korea supplied the manpower. I just think it would have benefited greatly if the invading army was kept as China. I mean, they shot it that way. They should release the China version.
Right. The North Korea kind of doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
But
the China one would make a lot more sense.
Oh,
but it was fine. Yeah. Like, again, fantasy movie.
It's a fantasy movie. It's, I mean, really, parachutes.
Yeah.
They invade with parachutes.
Yeah.
That's not happening.
U.S. Marine Jed Eckert is home on leave in Spokane, Washington. He reunites with his father, Spokane Police Sergeant Tom Eckert, and his brother, football player Matt Eckert, as well as his childhood friend Tony Walsh, and her cousin Erica Martin, Matt's girlfriend. I like this part. Gave the dad more of a presence, showed the brothers. They changed it a bit before the invasion began to the 1984 movie.
The only thing I didn't like about this part is that it felt very angsty teen movie. Oh,
you were watching Friday Night Lights at the beginning.
Basically, yes. And I'm not that big of a fan of high school football in that kind of arena where it's like the town and the football. But I was like, yeah. Everybody hates everybody. Ooh, look, there's a spark of interest there. He's got a girlfriend. Cool. Dad is leaving for his shift.
Yes. Matt's football team, the Wolverines, suffer defeat against another team. After the game, they go to a bar, but an unexpected blackout leads to them going home. The following morning, Jed and Matt are shocked to see swarms of invading North Korean paratroopers in transport aircraft. This was fantastic. I know the whole parachute thing, but the whole invasion of the planes and troops coming down and the explosions.
No, great visual.
Yeah.
Absolutely great visual.
And this will probably be the last time I heap that much praise on this movie. But no, there are some other spots. But anyways, their father tells them to flee to their cabin in the woods while he helps the townspeople. They are joined there by Matt's friend Robert, Daryl Jenkins, Danny, Jackson, siblings Julie and Greg, Goodyear, a stranger named Pete, and later by Tony. Erica is captured by the North Koreans. This is where I start being irked by the movie. Teenagers. We have to go get Erica, Jed. Are you fucking kidding me?
Don't even get me started.
I love her. She's my family. And he's like, where is she? He should have said, I'm your family. Shut the fuck up and put your seatbelt on.
Yeah,
Do you think Jed from 1984 Red Dawn would be like, okay, let's go get your girlfriend?
No, he'd be like, fine, you want to go get your girlfriend? Go get your girlfriend. I'm going to stay here. Alive.
Yeah, he'd be like, shut up, Charlie Sheen. We're not going to get your high school. If that was me, I'd be like, you know what, bro? If she's out there on the street and we are making our getaway and she can jump into the back of the truck as we're passing while I'm doing 80 miles an hour, because I'm not slowing down. If she can do that, sure. If not, too bad, honey.
Well, this entire thing it makes me so angry.
Yeah.
So because look, there are times to rebel against your elders.
Yeah.
The middle of an invasion by a opposition military force, not the time. That's the time you follow your brother who's in the military. Yeah,
Marine.
And you listen to him. Because he does this shit on the regular. This is his jam. This is not football, my friend. You want to talk about football? You do that. This is an invasion. Can we just not be assholes?
Yeah. But I love her, Jen. That's what I... Patrick Swayze would have stopped the truck and be like, get the fuck out.
Amen. Hallelujah. Yep.
Yeah. She's over there being rounded up by Koreans. Vaya con Dios, muchacho. Send me a postcard. And then he'd cry. He'd be like, turn it to something else. Turn it to something else, Maddie. But he wouldn't be risking their safety for a high school girlfriend. No. And I get Maddie was probably looking at the truck and going, "That's a sausage fest." I get it.
Wasn't there one girl in there? No, they show up after. I'm sorry. My apologies.
After,
my apologies.
Yeah, no, Jed should have just said, "We're gay now." That's it. There's an invading. We're going up to the mountains. We're gay. You're just lucky I picked up some other guys. It would just been us, and that would have been real awkward. So count your blessings.
Incest should never be funny, but
tensions build as the teens try to decide whether to surrender to the invaders or resist, with Pete ending up betraying their position. Other than the whole teenager girlfriend thing, this part is okay. I'm still on board with how it's playing out. But that teenager thing really, really hit a sort of... I know it's because I'm getting older and all teenagers are morons. That's what makes me angry. But other than that...
My niece is now 19. I had to think about that. But when she was a teenager, she was perfectly reasonable. She had great logic skills, great problem solving skills. So when I see these super selfish, batshit crazy teens, I'm like, who fucking raised you?
Oh yeah, there's I don't get me wrong, there's some good ones out there, but most of them I wouldn't put in charge of
No.
Yeah.
Understandable. But I mean, maybe I just grew up with a bunch of people who were kind of raised to be adults. We're never allowed to be children. So,
yeah.
Hello, childhood trauma, my old friend. Anyways,
but
go on.
Like Harry Dean Stanton said, now you see why we treat you like that in case there's an invasion. And then you'd be thanking me. And you won't be on there crying like a Gen Z going, "There's no app to help me. To help me get away from the Russians."
I'm sure Gen Z would figure it out.
Yeah, they probably would.
Yeah, Gen Z
They'd
would
probably
be fine.
do something. Yeah, Gen Z would be fine.
It's the millennials we have to be a little concerned with.
Yeah.
Are you a millennial?
Who?
No, you're a little older than me, right?
Yeah, no, I hit the Gen X.
Mm.
We're I don't care. Did you ever see that the meme where the one millennial's it's Gen Z, and he's like, boomers, millennials, Gen Z's, us. He goes, we need to get on with the Gen X's. They did this, they did that. And then it has a Gen X going, whatever, we don't care. You can do whatever you want.
I'm a Zennial. So I'm right. Apparently.
Yeah, you're right. The X and the millennial part, right?
I'm the ex-millennial. So yeah. I was like, this really sucks because I used to make a lot of fun of millennials. And I was like, I was almost one of them. It's very... Anyways, we should stop talking about that because the Gen Zs would figure it out.
Yeah, the millennials
would have.
They wouldn't do bad because the North Koreans would be like, you know what? I ain't interrogating these. All they do is cry, and I'm done.
There would be a lot of talking about your feelings.
Yeah,
I'm just saying. If it was,
they would come out crying and talk about their feelings, the torturers.
Yeah, they would just literally have entire conversations just about each other's feelings.
I just wanted to dance when I was a kid, and now I'm in this army. Okay, so North Korean soldiers under the command of Captain Cho, who was a good actor, by the way. The guy who's
such a good actor.
Yeah,
I love him.
Bring Sergeant Eckert and Daryl's father, the mayor, out to convince the group to surrender. While the mayor persuades the boys to give up, or tries to persuade them, Cho executes Sergeant Eckert after he refuses to cooperate and actively encourages them to resist. Brent Cullen, Mr. Eckert, he's a great actor. The guy who played Mr. Eckert, but the whole scene. It didn't have anywhere near the what's the word, the gravity,
gravitas,
as Harry Dean Stanton did. Not even close.
Correct. I don't remember any of what either of them said.
No.
I was just like, yeah.
But I can't do it word for word, but don't you ever cry for me again?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you know. Remember, I used to watch you play on the swings. Now you know why I used to beat the shit out of you when you when you drank my last Coke or beer. I remember all that. Oh, but this one, I don't remember it.
But
and Avenge Me.
I'm like, if you're not going to finish off strong, but it was very, like, especially from Mr. Eckert, it was just very like
it was generic action movie.
It was generic kind of, and I want you to fight to the death. Don't let them, like, my death means nothing. Like, just fight. Great. And then Matt Eckert loses his ever loving mind.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are you telling me nobody heard that?
Yeah. They weren't that far away.
You're like 30 feet away from each other. I don't understand.
Like, one of those soldiers should have had some sort of decent hearing.
Right?
Yeah.
One of them at least would have heard it. But fine. Whatever.
And it's too bad. There were a lot of good actors in this movie. That seemed to be wasted.
Connor Cruise was not one of them.
No.
I realized.
Not in this movie.
Barely said anything.
Okay. Also, I did like the Peter character being the one who ratted them. But let's be honest, they weren't best friends. I'd rat them out too if I got caught. You wouldn't even have to torture me.
I would not rat them out because I'm not a snitch unless you're cheating on your boyfriend or girlfriend. That's the only time I snitch on people. But I'm like, yo, you got in that truck with these mofos. You rode out to safety. And now you're going to snitch on them?
And to insult to injury, he stole their food, too.
And he stole the food. It was him and the other guy. I don't remember who the other guy was, but it was him and the other guy. And I was like, you know what? I hope y'all get shot in the head.
And that was the later scene with him. That I did enjoy that scene.
So did I. So did I. Yeah.
Later, Jed announces that he intends to fight, and the others agree to join him, calling themselves the Wolverines after their school mascot. They didn't do it quite like that. They weren't like, well, first, I know we're starting training, but we should really come up with a cool name for our unit.
Honestly, isn't it just because one of them, like, kind of loses his mind and, like,
on the rooftop,
Wolverines, and then everybody's like, oh, so that's who they are.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Like, nobody sat around a campfire and voted.
No, or put names in a hat and drew.
Yeah,
no,
nobody did that.
After acquiring weapons, establishing a base in an abandoned mine, and being trained by Jed, the Wolverines begin a series of guerrilla attacks against the soldiers and collaborators, including Pete, who gets killed in a bomb explosion. Yeah, I did enjoy that scene.
I did too. Yeah. I did too.
And I will say this, although I didn't buy the whole weekend training session and they were this elite Navy SEALs or Marines, the use of weapons and the collecting of weapons was a bit more realistic.
Yes.
But it was all ruined by the training thing. It's just, it didn't buy it. Because in the 84 version, they were up there in the mountains for months just hiding before they came down to see what was going on.
But in 2 to 3 days.
These guys were ready.
Guys were ready to go. Even though you have Matt, who won't listen to anybody. Yeah. Robert, who's afraid to touch anybody. No, but it's fine. Yeah. They're all super punchy, fighty, stabby.
Yeah. I did like the callback to the 84 version where the soldiers ran after Tony and they popped up from the ground.
Yes.
Because
there was actually a lot that mirrored 84.
Yeah. But it wasn't as good as the 84 one. Like that one where she's running down the field and the Russians are chasing her was way better.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, an extra 20 minutes of character building would have gone a long way.
It definitely would have, but apparently it wasn't in the budget.
No.
They used it for all the explosions.
$65 million. Jesus Christ. Anyways. As Matt manages to free Erica from her imprisonment, he jeopardizes the mission, resulting in Greg's death, leading to tension between him and Jeb. I feel the Wolverines were very forgiving, especially Greg's sister. I personally would have been a little more pissed.
Entirely too forgiving. Yeah. Entirely too. I'm still mad at him.
Yeah.
I'm still mad at him. Because I was like, his brother literally just had a talk with him about it.
Yeah.
Where he's like, you're part of a team. This is not just about what you want. Like, everybody else relies on you. And like, literally before they went out there, he's like, everything's got to be timed right. And then he catches one glimpse of his girl. And he's like, we're going to blow shit up now. And the Greg's sister was like, it's not time yet. He's like, now.
And then Greg goes to help him. It's that teenager thing again.
Greg, and Jed gets shot. And I'm just sitting there going, And then he shows up with his girlfriend, all like, "Hey guys,
yeah, look what I got."
And then he's all like surprised when Danny's like, maybe you don't go in there right now.
Yeah. Thor's pissed. You might not.
Yeah, but there's a vibe. There's a vibe. You might not want to go in there. And he's like, "What?"
Yeah, it was so bad. Anyways.
I hated him. I hated him so much.
The North Koreans retaliate by bombarding the surrounding woods to destroy the Wolverines' base, killing Danny and Julie, while with the remaining survivors fleeing deeper into the woods. Okay, the plot here missed a couple of things. The movie did a bit of enemy POV, but it was just to show them pissed.
Pretty much,
and then an even higher up leader getting pissed.
Yes.
84 showed a lot more realistic POV from the enemy, but I mean, character development.
What are you going to do?
Yeah. The Wolverines eventually encounter Marines Sergeant Major Andrew Tanner and 2 other Marines, Corporal Smith and Sergeant Hodges. They reveal that the Russian-backed North Korean invasion used an EMP weapon that crippled the U.S. electrical grid and military, followed by landings along the east and west coast. Camp Pendleton is hinted by the Marines as having been destroyed in the invasion, as most likely the rest of the coastal Southern California, with American counterattacks eventually halting their advances, leaving an area stretching from Michigan to Montana and Alabama to Arizona as Free America. They used the Rocky Mountains in the west and the Appalachians in the east as geographic buffers, as pockets of patriotic guerrillas in the Cascades and the Sierra Nevada mountains. Did you get all this in the movie? And in the Florida continue to fight. They also, I remember parts of it. They reveal
parts of it too.
They reveal Captain Cho's suitcase contains an EMP-resistant radio telephone that, if captured, would enable the U.S. combat to listen in on the enemy communication and gain a tactical advantage in counteroffensive. Wow.
This is what I got, right? From the actual movie. I remember there were talk of various states, and they talked about some mountains too.
Yep.
But they talked about it so fast, I couldn't get a picture of it. You know what would have helped? If they had shown the Wolverines on a map.
Yeah.
What the free area was. That would have helped instead of just rattling off places.
Yeah, at least Powers Booth made like a shitty diagram with some Inky cars and stuff.
Yeah, no, we got none of that. There was no visual representation, which is fine. And then they said, "Hey, have you seen this thing?" And they pull out a printout, and it's the little suitcase.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Wait a minute, does your phone still work?" "Yes." "Is this the thing?" "Oh yeah, that's the thing." "Okay, let's go get Cho." I'm like, fantastic. I did not get that it was a phone.
No.
I just understood that it was something that made them able to communicate.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was a phone. I didn't know if it was a radio. I didn't know if it was a laptop. All I knew was that it was how they communicated. So you needed to get the suitcase.
Yeah.
1984 was a lot clearer. I'm just saying.
Yes. I did like these Marine guys, but again, where Powers Booth was only in the movie a short while, it was alluded to him being there for like a couple months.
Yes.
And it felt like he had been there a long time. In reality, he was only in the movie for like not even 30 minutes, 20.
But I really cared about him.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's those little scenes of him playing football.
Yeah.
Goofing around. Like, I don't know if he was flirting with the girl, but he like,
I don't know. That was a weird situation. We're not going to look at it.
Yeah. I think he was trying to be nice. He wasn't.
She had a crush. He was trying to just be nice.
Yeah.
Which is probably why he talked about how great his wife is.
Yeah. And I love Jeffrey Dean Morgan. And actually, the other Marine, I wrote it down, Kenneth Cho, the other Marine guy. I like him too.
I love him.
Yeah, he's been
911 and I love him.
Yeah. But Jeffrey Dean Morgan's awesome.
I still kind of want to marry him.
Ooh, Jeffrey Dean Morgan?
Yes. And Kenneth Choi. Both of them.
The Wolverines
maybe at the same time. Sorry.
This is a different podcast. This is an after hours podcast now. The Wolverines assist Tanner, Smith, and Hodges in infiltrating the local police station, the North Korean center of operations. They succeed in stealing the suitcase, with Jed avenging his father's death by killing Cho, though Hodges is killed in the firefight. An action movie guy getting killed is not the same as when Colonel Tanner gets killed in 1984. Just saying. It didn't have that same impact.
No.
After successfully escaping with the suitcase, the Wolverine's Marines regroup in a safe house. However, they're ambushed by Russian Spetsnaz, and Jet is killed in the firefight. That I cared a little bit.
I cared because he seemed to be the only competent person in this little group.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, everybody's going to die now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just finish the movie.
Matt and the rest of the group escape with the suitcase. Robert realizes that during the escape from the police station, Daryl was tagged with a subcutaneous tracking device that the Russian used to find them. After some thought, Daryl accepts the fact that he cannot go with them and decides to stay behind while the rest continue to the Marines' extraction point. It was a different way of doing the whole Daryl thing, but this was just a way to make the characters less interesting, just cookie cutters heroes. And
you know what, though, I could respect this Daryl's decision.
Yes, for one saying it. Yeah.
Respect. Okay, great. Now go wander off into the wilderness. Because it was also Connor Cruise. Nobody cares. He didn't add a lot to the story, and we all kept forgetting he was there.
Yeah.
And so when he left, I was like, doesn't really affect the movie all that much. So go.
But Daryl scene from 84 brought a whole other dimension to like the story.
It made you care more. You were more invested in the risk.
And he didn't just betray the character, he betrayed the viewer who were cheering for the Wolverines. And it allowed Patrick Swayze to cry again.
There really wasn't enough crying in this movie.
No, nowhere near enough crying in this movie.
No.
Tanner and Smith depart in a UH-1 with the suitcase. The remaining Wolverines decide to stay behind and continue to fight, recruiting more members and raiding prisoner camps, with Matt now leading the effort to continue opposing the occupation. This whole scene was the topping of a generic action movie hamburger with a ton of cheese. I hated this scene with him giving that speech.
I hated it. I appreciated the happy ending, or happy-ish.
Happy-ish ending,
we'll say, because they're going on to fight another day. I think they wrote that ending hoping for a sequel. And the studio was like, why the fuck would you think that? But there was a lot of cheese in this. It was so cheap because he was basically repeating the same speech that his brother gave everybody. Yeah. And I'm like, are you even going to like credit your brother?
No.
Like, you're just ripping off his entire speech to like get everybody to get together and like fight.
I'm surprised he wasn't like, and after that speech, he was like, yeah, that's all me. That's you can quote me on that.
And they're like, he's so inspirational. Isn't he, though? He is. Such a way with words.
I did, however, like the trucks mounted with those Gatling guns firing widely into the prison as they like probably killed half the people they were trying to rescue.
Yeah.
It looked cool.
They're so sloppy in their attacks.
Yeah.
Now that Jed's gone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's all Matt's fault.
They probably all died in that one raid. That was the end of them. The flag of free America is carried by patriots in a daring raid on a North Korean concentration camp in the final shot of the film. Yeah. That's the end of the movie. Score.
6 out of 10. Pretty kind of good. I mean, it's generally a good, like.
It's a generic
action movie.
Yeah. I would have been more kind if this was called like Thor Gets a Gun.
Yeah.
Or My Brother Gets People Killed for His Girlfriend.
Yeah.
I mean, if it was just another action movie, but it was a reboot of a pretty well done 80s classic. There were some good action scenes. The acting wasn't anything spectacular, but it was serviceable from most of the actors. But in the end, it was sillier than the original, which was already about as silly as you would want it to be. The original had a sense of realism to it. This one did not. The original was able to pull off dark and bleak. It had a feeling of real hopelessness throughout the entire thing. This one did not. It had a few glimmers of action and acting, but it was just so generic and subpar that this was easy to sink the score when put up against the original. If the only Red Dawn movie you watch is this one, 5.5. But if we're putting the two up against each other, and this one gets, I would give it a 4.5 between awful and meh, and it was okay. Meh.
Yeah, I'd probably give it closer to a 5 if I was comparing it to the original Red Dawn.
Yeah.
But standing on its own, it's definitely...
Standing on its own is better.
Closer to a 6. Closer to a 6, not like super close to... But
See, I would give it a 5.5 on its own.
Yeah, because I'm like, I enjoyed it, kind of.
Yeah,
like
it was...
Will I watch it again? Of course. Am I going to go looking for it to go watch it again? Probably not.
No.
Am I going to put it on in the background when I have to like go through my closet? For sure. It's one of those movies where you're like, oh yeah, okay, great.
Yeah, to see the couple scenes that were really cool. Yeah.
So, and then you can like just let it play and you don't care about what's happening, because for a lot of this movie, I did not care about what was happening because there was no feeling of suspense. You weren't involved. Like, you weren't drawn to the characters. You didn't care what was happening to them. You're just like, okay.
Yeah.
But I mean, Chris Hemsworth is hot.
Yeah.
They're
pros, Chris Hemsworth was hot and had some great action scenes.
Yeah. No, action was really good.
Yeah.
I will give them that.
Yep. Everything else didn't come close to the action scenes, though, like the story, the acting, and comparing the two together, the reboot and the original is superior in every way, except for a few of the action scenes. And like, this movie did have some great action scenes.
But I think also we have to keep in mind that action in 1984.
Oh yeah.
Because of just technical, not difficulties. That's not the word. Deficiencies. Like, they didn't have the same kind of technology. They couldn't explode things.
They had to really blow it up.
Yeah, they literally had to be like, we're literally exploding this.
Yeah.
There was no CGI. There was no, realistic looking dummies. So, I mean,
like that one in the plane in the 84 one. Yeah.
So they had to make do with what they had. And except for the soap opera acting moments. And I love soap operas. I'd like to be on the record as saying that. I love soap operas. They just don't belong in an action movie. I'm just saying.
And then you never know, like maybe there was a better movie here and that it got hacked into this mediocre film. I don't know. But like, the story was a winner. You should have done better. Like, you already had the story, and maybe the 2000s, 2010s were notorious for studios thinking we didn't want story. We wanted action. We didn't want 2-hour movies. We wanted an hour and a half movies, and they were wrong. 84 wasn't perfect, but it was an action movie with characters and fleshed out story, and it made you invest in the entire thing. Like, it made you care about the characters. Was it silly?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. High school kids taking on an army. It was stupid. But it was a popcorn action adventure movie. It was awesome.
Yeah, but for a popcorn action adventure movie, I gotta say, they really sold the story and the character development, and they wanted you invested. So every time the Wolverines lost, you felt it. Every time they won, you felt it. And I did that with the 2012 version. I didn't give a fuck if they won or lost.
No.
They were all just generic people to me.
Yeah, when Thor got killed, I was kind of like, Thor's dead.
That one made me sad, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, no more looking at pretty Thor.
It always hurts my heart when I have to stop looking at pretty Thor.
So I can probably say we both agree that the 84 was the better movie.
100%.
All right. So that is it for Red Dawn versus Red Dawn. Again, we are not responsible if you watch any of these movies and you disagree with us. All right, till next time.
Congratulations. You just had one of your childhood movie memories vindicated. Or they just eviscerated it. I don't know. This is a generic one-size-fits-all type of ending to the podcast. So thank you for listening, and please join Anna and Jimmy next time for another episode of the I Remember Liking That Movie podcast. If you dare to go back and watch that movie you remember liking,